In Kingdom Come Deliverance, you play as Henry, a medieval nobody who struggles with even the most basic tasks. So how do we make this already brutal game even harder? Simple. We get drunk and stay that way. If Henry sobers up, it's a mad dash to the nearest tavern for booze, and maybe some bad financial decisions in the form of gambling. But first, why don't you subscribe so I can finally sell these countless bottles of baby oil given to me by Donald Trump himself. Now that I have explained what it is like to be a British university student, we can finally begin the challenge. We start Kingdom Come Deliverance in the small village of Skalitz, where we choose a few things that Henry can actually be half decent at. With the aid of Chat, who desperately wanted me to pursue the act of intercourse with my own mother, I picked speech and vitality, a decision which I will soon come to regret. We now finally have full control over Henry, and the first thing we do is raid our parents' house and run straight to the pub. It is here where we run into our first problem. This pub has no beer, and worse yet, we have no money to actually purchase our beer legitimately. Naturally, I sold everything I took from my parents' house and used the coin to actually buy the beer, just enough to get by. We also knock out one of the nearby patrons of the pub in hopes that his inventory would quench our thirst. However, it did not quite go to plan and we get thrown in jail. Now, if you're familiar with the story of KCD, you know exactly what happens when we get thrown in jail in Skalitz. We burn to death, all because we wanted to roleplay as your dad. After the first of many deaths, we reload and actually start the main quest. Henry's father wanted us to go to the town drunk to get him to repay the services he gave him last night. This allows Henry to challenge the town drunk for the title of town drunk. Initially, we tried to knock the man out, but Henry is an absolute failure and the man started throwing hands. From here, we took the sensible approach and went running back to dear old daddy with the town drunk hot on our heels. Now, if you thought the town drunk had hands, it's nothing compared to dear old daddy over here. He knocked him out with a good old fisting. This beating enabled Henry to strip the man of his worldly possessions and sell his clothes for more beer, but not before I go running to mum to help patch my boo-boo. Heading into the village to sell the drunk's clothes, I came to yet another realisation. What if I sold the clothes off my back, since they are worth even more than the drunk's clothes? This means I can buy even more beer. Naturally, I went with this decision and started wearing the drunk's piss rags instead. There's not much else that actually happened in Skalitz that's worth mentioning. We went to combat training, ran a few errands for dear old Daddy Fister, gambled, and drank some more. Although it's worth noting, when we were gambling, we couldn't even do it properly because we were too sloshed to see what dice we actually rolled. Since Henry now owned nothing more than the clothes of a drunk and a few kegs worth of beer and wine, it was finally time to start the game proper. We went home and forged a sword. In this cutscene, we get introduced to a few very important characters. For now, let's just call them Daddy Number 2 and Tooth. We also meet Henry's primary love interest for this game, which the game conveys very subtly with a medieval ass shot. Before you ask, yes, Chat wanted to sex them all. Oh yeah, and Henry's family gets killed right in front of him by an evil mustache man, who was also known as Elon Musk. Henry makes the wise choice here and runs away from the Republicans invading the village. We also manage to save Teresa, Henry's love interest, before failing to hop on a horse and die fighting. This game was subtly trying to convey the message that if I was more drunk before I rode the horse, I would have made it out of there alive. And before you ask, yes, Chat wanted to sex the horse. Eventually, after getting more drunk, we managed to drink drive to the nearest town, while trying our best to avoid sexing the horse anymore. Speaking of sexing, in the next town, Henry meets the lady of the town, Lady Stephanie, who likes to talk to Henry about her husband's small penis and how they cannot conceive a child. So naturally, on stream, we spend the next 3 hours trying to get Henry to sex her, just so we can cuck the Lord with the weird voice acting.
Tell me, boy, what exactly happened?
Now is the perfect time to mention that all the footage here was streamed over at twitch.tv/Hui. Now please follow, I need money to feed my family. Now that we are in the town of Talmberg and out of the cutscenes, we can continue to drink. And by drink, I mean get absolutely demolished. This is all to help Henry cope with the death of everyone he's ever loved. Naturally, with Henry feeling as down in the dumps as he is, he wants to go and bury his parents. So we drink up again for good luck and ask Mummy Stephanie for beer money. We then proceed to jump down into the moat and drunkenly leg it to Skalitz. Now, this is definitely the most drunk Henry has been thus far. The whole experience really took a toll on him. And before you ask, yes, I ran all the way from the nearest town back to Skalitz with my game looking like this. The journey genuinely took around 30 minutes, but in the end, I made it. I found my parents, I found this jackass trying to loot the corpses of the dead, and with my honour intact, I frightened him away. The fucking scoundrel. Who the fuck loots dead corpses? I then went to the corpse of Henry's ex, took her ring, and took the coin from Mum and Dad. Now we can bury them. I dug a hole underneath some random tree. I genuinely cannot tell if it's the right place due to the drunkenness, but when we go to collect Henry's parents' corpses, we run into Baldy. Henry is in no condition to fight, so he gets his ass beat and his father's sword stolen. Luckily for Henry, we were saved by Teresa, and the game has now finally officially began for real. Yes, this was all the tutorial. Henry awakes from his near-death experience 2 weeks later, nearly dead, hungry, and in desperate need of beer. Upon drinking this sweet nectar, we become an alcoholic. No, seriously, it's a debuff in the game. All my stats have been reduced to 0. Even my speech, what I was meant to be specialising in, is at a pathetic 4. To circumvent this newfound flaw of alcoholism, we need to train Henry to become the most powerful, verbose, skilled top shagger in all the land, and to do this we need to sell all of the food we got from Teresa's house and once again drink ourselves into oblivion, before enlisting ourselves into the service of Daddy number 2. Now we can finally learn the drunken combat. Now in this challenge, stealth is not an option, since when Henry is drunk he sharts himself way too much, meaning all the nearby enemies will be hearing a little toot every time he takes a step. This means one-on-one sword combat is the only way forward. We also challenge Loverboy over here to an archery contest, which we lose horribly. Trying to aim like this is like trying to drive drunk, which, well, sounds fun, it probably shouldn't be done. Loverboy also challenges us to a sword fight, which we somehow still win while plastered. After learning all the basics and spending a day in Daddy number 2's service, we head down to the pub. Now, I couldn't tell if Henry and Loverboy were going to fight or fuck, but who said they can't do both? For those who don't know, a bunch of right-wing twats got well pissed off that the game's sequel has a gay romance option, so when I get round to the second game, I'm gonna take that route just to piss off those right-wing grifter twats. Gay people exist, get fucking used to it. Now back to being drunk. As punishment for shagging in the pub, Loverboy's uncle sends us both hunting to learn to work nicely together. On a genuine note, I really like the relationship Henry has with Hans. The chemistry these two actors have is just unbelievable. When we get to the hunting spot, I pester Hans until it's time to go hunting, but I had another plan in mind. Before this mission began, Henry went to see Mummy Stephanie, who needed help for a family wedding. So naturally, Henry has his priorities and ran off to help Mummy Stephanie. This side quest requires me to win some luxury wine from yet another archery competition. Now, since Henry is both drunk and shit at shooting, I came up with yet another ingenious plan. With the wine acquired, we can run to get the required horse who needs to be sang to so it doesn't freak the fuck out. And then we get a crown from yet another village. And before you ask, yes, I walked all the way to all of these villages just for this side quest. I have no life. To get the crown, we need to take out some bandits and pick a lock, which means we had to continue to use our supply of beer and walk all the way back to the miller so we can be taught lockpicking before walking back again to get the stone for the crown, before walking back to the village to get the fucking stone and the crown. But on a plus side, after murdering this bandit, I got a nice set of armour. Once the stone was ready, we collect it and take everything back to Talmberg. Now, needless to say, chat was very excited about this part. Henry changes his shirt in front of Stephanie, and they have Sims 4 style sex. We finally know why this game is called Kingdom Come. Now, you may be asking why I went through all that. To be honest, I don't quite know. But now we can finally head back to Sir Hans and continue the main quest. But you know what? I'm going to milk this series just as I did to the PvZ2 series, so you're all just going to have to wait a couple days. If you enjoyed this video, then goon all over that like button. But if not, well, I'm gonna go cry over here, I guess. I just hope in this video I don't get any angry parents in the comment section complaining about my swearing. Anyway, thanks again for watching, fellas, and I'll see you all in a couple days whether you like it or not.